y'all, I'm Mary.
And I'm Carla.
And we're the Smiley Twins. And today we are going to discuss, we're going to do like a look back. And a look forward. Too, a little bit, I think.
We'll see how long the look back takes.
Yeah, we'll see how long we talk about the look back, and then we might tie in the look forward.
Break it up.
Yeah.
2 podcasts.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see how it goes. But we just want to kind of, it's just, the purpose of this is to let you all see how we've grown, the progression of Smiley, but then hopefully apply it to your own kind of business and stuff. And then, the looking forward is like everything that we've done, which we'll probably need 2 podcasts to prepare for, like,
thinking about the last month.
Yeah, like our next stage of growth. Yeah, and basically how we have organized ourselves, what we've done to organize ourselves, and get in the nitty gritty of that, the software we use and everything.
Yeah, this is gonna be fun. Like, can we start like in January?
Yeah, because it really can be applied to like your business like now. So like, not to get ahead, but Microsoft 365 is what we utilize, and you can apply that in your everyday life.
And there's techies rolling their eyes right now. Like,
yeah, well, I didn't make that decision, for the record. Not that I'm a techie, but well, anyway, point being, take this, what I hope from this podcast is where some things we're doing on a little bit larger scale can totally be applied
or vice versa.
Yeah.
What do you mean? There's some things that somebody might have a bigger business or operate differently.
And so we hope that it's helpful for that reason. And then, hopefully we can add in what our plans are. I think it'll kind of tie in together because what we're doing is for moving forward and stuff. I guess at the beginning of this year, we probably...
let's just, January 1.
Okay, no. So what we did initially in January, which is really crucial to mention, is we went on a TV show. And we filmed a TV show called The Blocks, and it was...
Yeah, but there was something before that.
New Year's Day.
Pretty much. That was when we partnered and acquired Kira's business.
Oh, yeah, okay.
And really, it was acquiring is the wrong word. It was really a partnership. And it went into effect January 1, and we did a little bit of...
the sound of
4-year-old child eats Gushers while filming podcast.
It's my one plastic.
The one plastic
I like to put in my body. I don't want to eat.
I'll catch you like eating Nutella. That's like battery acid mixed with
Nutella.
Skittles. Yeah, it's gross.
That was a bad example. Maybe Skittles. I don't really eat those.
Okay. So anyways, that was a really big deal for us. Kira is a huge part of our team. She's a VP in our company. She is couldn't be any closer to me and Mary. She actually owns a very small portion of the company, but is one of our owners, so we consider her a co-owner. She had done a lot of work in the aesthetics space for almost a year and a half, maybe 2 years before. And, like a lot of people, was just out there on a limb on her own and struggling and trying to make both ends meet and not sure she should take the leap. Maybe she should, maybe she shouldn't. She's a nurse practitioner. Anyway, we'd been helping her for a year, and I won't get too much into the story. The point is, we ended up closing their deal and partnering on January 1. And why that's important is because Kira had already gotten a lot of education on semaglutide and had seen that train coming down the tracks and was already big into that. So she's been instrumental in helping us build our weight loss program, which has been a huge thing for us and a huge part of our growth.
Yep.
And then also she's our staple in our core in Missouri, which we have we've grown Missouri at a rapid rate, as so she is the core to that.
Yeah.
She also, as a nurse practitioner, is a medical director for us in a couple states. So there's just so much of that partnership really kicked off 2023 in our growth and fueled so much of our growth. So that happened obviously before we went on the TV show. Back to the TV show.
And then also with that, we stumbled through, the first acquisition. When I say stumbled through, we just learned a lot. It was the foundation of the partnerships and acquisitions that then came after that. So,
right.
The takeaway from that is that, most importantly, we just learned so much from that and how we structured it and everything. So, I guess that was the initial thing. And then we went on in the beginning of January, and we'll try to just do the impactful stuff. We went on a show called The Blocks. It's run by Beta Blocks, a company called Beta Blocks, and they are kind of an angel investment firm, incubator kind of company, and they take, angel investing, meaning
you're really in the tech space.
Yeah,
really techy.
They do that. Mostly tech. The companies they accept in their incubation program are mostly tech based.
Yeah.
I think they're spanning into the to different, actually, in the beginning of 2024. But going on that show was a week-long immersion into just business. And for me, not having as much experience in the business side of it, and Carla has her MBA, and then she's working in the administration and the higher up on that side of it, it was so valuable for me to do just this crash course of like all business stuff.
Yeah, and even business basics. I think that's what's missing so much from, we've talked about it all the time, from the medical professional world and why businesses fail.
Yeah, and marketing basics and just like it's amazing the stuff that is in my, like, now that I now know just from that week alone, which we also repeated again in June on an alumni season. That hasn't come out yet, but the other season is
Amazon Prime.
That's on Amazon Prime, yeah. And you can I think still find it on their app and stuff. But
spoiler alert.
Something else that came out of that week was we invested in another company. That's for another time. And then we also met Vanessa, who is now one of our directors in the company. As of a couple months ago, we just couldn't get away from her in the best way. Meaning, she was so we couldn't.
That's true.
We couldn't leave her. We found ourselves going back to her over and over. We partnered with her first in her company, which is My Body by Design, which is a medical tourism. And I really want to go into details of everything, but I'm not. And then it was going back to her in the sense of that she is one of the most amazing, administrative, professional I've ever met, honestly. I mean, she's an extension of Carla in a lot of ways in our company now. And we went back to her for just projects and her efficiency and the superior job she did on these projects. We just couldn't let her go. That's what I mean. We couldn't stay away from her.
Yeah.
So we did eventually hire her. We're so grateful that she said yes, of course. And she is now one of our directors of technical operations, and just, I can't even imagine it without her at this point.
I know.
It's only been part of the last.
It's been a couple months, and you're seriously like, wait, did we exist 2 months ago?
I don't even know that
thing.
She does more. She does what two people, honestly, and I'm not.
She really does produce.
She does what two
crazy
people,
rate,
1.5 at least,
and such good work too.
Yeah. So that was the other thing that came out of that.
But she wasn't hired until November, so we'll come back to that.
I know
that came out of that show, yeah.
And
then some other connections and stuff that were really fantastic. Hey, Tiana. Yeah.
It's up above you.
You're not that tall, Tiana. Tiana's tall, but she's not that tall. So that was really good. And that really in January, it was like the 4th through the 9th or 4th through the 10th or something. So it was like a perfect kickstart to the year. And it was it was like a moment of recap for the business. It was just so much.
Totally. We got so many ideas and so many things to change and how to, but it was the most intense experience I've ever been through in my life.
Yeah.
I mean, physically and emotionally, I think our husbands and stuff thought we were just off, filming a TV show and how fun that is.
Oh, it sounds real sexy.
It was 18-hour days, and it was grueling. And
you keep saying 18. 18's a little bit strong if you include the party time at the end.
Well, I mean, the party time, that was, also.
That was the networking time. I didn't say party. I didn't mean party time.
I was about to say the party time was almost as important as the rest of it. So,
no, it really was very long days. And just a very mentally taxing. And
so much came out of it. We're not even going to go into all the things. So if you ever have a chance to look at that, they accept, there's tens of thousands of people who apply to it for each season. And if you're a small business, med spa, really any business, even if it's just an idea, they accept ideas all the way up to companies that at that point, I think our revenue was
just north of 700.
Yeah. So just all varying levels of where you are at in your business. And we still took away so much. So
yeah, totally 100%. We took away a ton.
Yeah. I don't even remember this spring.
Yeah.
What all?
Well, February, we opened Nashville West.
Oh, yeah. So
yeah, it's crazy.
And I moved to Nashville.
Mary moved to Nashville. In February, we opened Nashville West. We also turned around right away in March and opened Mount Juliet.
Yeah, and February 16th was our 1 year kind of anniversary of Smiley. And yeah, we left Knoxville to a couple of people that we hired or whatever. And one of those nurse practitioners is still running that med spa and doing amazing. She heads up a lot of our weight loss.
Yep.
And then and she'll be joined by another employee this February, which is lovely, expanding that med spa. Mount Juliet was soon after.
That was in March. We opened
another
Mount
little
Juliet,
suburb of Nashville. And then we
that was, and what we were doing in March, April, that was a heavy weight loss time. I was spending a lot of time doing weight loss. And then Adrian, I think, joined us right around in there. So we had a nurse practitioner. Adrian's a salt of the earth. We just love Adrian. They moved from Arizona to be closer to family. And you're like, where's her family? Missouri. Okay. So Joe's here and are building a house together currently, trying not to get divorced, doing that project together. They're physically building the home. Yeah, so it's themselves.
They're living in a camper currently.
Yeah.
4-year-old.
Four-year-old, months on end.
A couple of dogs, I think.
And expecting.
Woohoo.
It's just a lot for her.
So anyway,
and she's still just the smiling perfect person. Anyway, she was.
Well, we don't. If we go through everything, we're never going to get through this. Like every employee, but
no, we're going through every employee.
Although everyone's worth mentioning.
Yeah.
I love you all.
But it's things like this. What is so important about this is that it's things like this that happen that are so much not a part of the story, and people think and see, oh, it's been a year and a half. Our model really got started. Our company really got going in April or May of so we're
May, June.
Yeah, even May, June. So we're still right at 18 months, in really. But what's so important is some of these triggering events that happen. You look back and they are critical. If they didn't happen, things would be different. Mm-hmm. And Adrian is part of that because she was kind of working with us part-time, or she was an independent injector. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, okay, well, how about you can come on with us. You can help us with good faith exams. You can help us with whatever. And then she just up and quit her job and was only making part-time pay with us and was like, forget it. I'm in, I'm doing it. And that type of stuff is critical because then she devoted, 5 days a week, bam, she was just in.
Yeah.
And not everybody finds that. Yeah.
Everybody. Gosh, I'd say it's rare. We had a few people. Really,
we had Jessie at West, who was running
the vice president.
Yeah, the Nashville West Spa for all intents and purposes and all kinds of things. And, still working another job, really kind of full-time, sort of. She wasn't really, for anybody listening to this. So anyways, you have people like that. We have just surrounded ourselves with a team. A lot of them have come out of the woodwork, and hopefully, people are like, well, it's a level of magnetism, that happens with a culture that you build and who you present yourself and how you treat people. And so, I don't certainly take credit for that. There are strokes of luck in there. So that happened. And we had our biggest months in April and May. We just saw a surge of instead of going into the summer without a surge, it was exact opposite. Mm-hmm. Surge in the number of injectors that joined us, a surge in all kinds of stuff. We had our first PE firm reach out to us trying to be predatory. Really, quite frankly. And so we've had an investing podcast a little bit. If you haven't heard that one a few episodes ago, just be very wary. It is a very hot market right now for mergers, acquisitions, and all kinds of things. And people will
offer you the world,
essentially, but they'll take it all with them. So just be aware of that. We're not going to get into that, but that sucked up a lot of time in June. But what it did was really, for me, it sucked up a ton of time. We also went under contract to purchase the building at that time. And so that took up a lot of my time but it really gave me a deep dive into the operational and financial aspects of the company. And that is super important because you'll hear all these people say, at the highest level, the term is know your numbers. And I almost can't stand that term because it's so much more than that. And it's hard, right?
But, I think maybe to understand your numbers is understand them versus
maybe that's it too. It's hard to do that, to be the CEO and the CFO and do all the things. So that is difficult, but that forced that because boy, they take you to discovery as they call it. They take you through the ringer there. That fell apart after probably 8 weeks of just brutal, lots and lots and lots of work.
Yeah.
In the best way.
Because it was the same thing that she just said for me. It was just for me, the whole year was just one big crash course, and maybe not crash for a year, but on all the business stuff. And so that financial stuff was just being in that and a part of that, and seeing we had we had our projections done, and we who the company that did them, we found our CFO, our fractional CFO through that company as well, and still use them for our accounting and all of our money stuff. But so that came out of that, and which was a reference actually from someone at the Blocks, which is just a really cool network. I can't put in enough plugs for them, but that learning for those 8 weeks or 10 weeks was just, it's invaluable, really. It's real life, textbook learning, practical. It's like us medical providers when we go to nursing school and then we actually go into nurse practice or even clinicals. It's just not done the same necessarily, and there's just too many environmental factors on so too many different types ways things can go that you can't account for in a textbook.
That's what's nice about business, though. I mean, there is a lot of different ways it can go, but I will say the most practical degree I got was my MBA, because the numbers are numbers, and accounting is accounting, and it is what it is. So some of that stuff is nice. And there are courses out there that you can take, like a basic accounting course. Like people think education, if you're not in college, you're not getting a degree, you must not be able to get any kind of formal education. That's not true at all.
Yeah, you can take just classes.
You can go take a class at a college, take a basic accounting class and sit in and
do a semester, and you don't have to,
you don't have to be working.
A little, it's less work, I think, than fully enrolling or whatever. So, and much more affordable, especially at community colleges and stuff. So they have all sorts of resources for their communities, hence community college. But
so that was in June and July, and that was fun. July was our lowest month by far. We dipped pretty good. So for the way our company works and the way a lot of med spa companies works, because your cost of goods is so related to your revenue, of course, you're not like other businesses where you have to have a giant purchase order, like ketchup. You have to buy 1,000 ketchup bottles to stock the shelves, to have them present. I mean, we see how many they have. And then you have a slow period where you're stuck with that. You've spent that money. If you don't make money, you're kind of screwed, because you made this purchase order, you spent this money. Well, if you're managing yourself right in a med spa space, then you're buying product as you use it. So it really goes hand in hand. And again, we talk about this all the time. But you have a bunch of inventory, shame on you. There's no need for that. You got overnight shipping. There's no need to hang on to a bunch of inventory when you can get something overnight. It's just, or 2 days or 3 days. Like it's just insane to do that. So we can so tightly control. So if we have a down month, well, because your revenue is down, that meant the product you're buying should be down. It's not like I had to buy all this product and then I didn't reach my goal. Those kind of fluctuate together. That's a really important, really advantage or positive to our business, is that those things move together. So even though on paper the total revenue was down, like most people in July, well, it wasn't overly impactful because, again, our cost of goods went down.
And then it's just being smart with your marketing on
and being aware, and stop spending money.
And that's very med spa specific on what you can focus on in the summer. That what's causing the downturn in the summer months. No lasers because of sun exposure and
microneedling.
And people are less likely to get some. Injectables kind of stay the same, but those other services are where you see those big dips because people can't be out in the sun for a week and nobody really does.
So if you're a laser reliant
person, you have to
really pay attention to that
you
stuff.
have to really account for
and that's where you see so many businesses fail. So if you're going to go in and you're like, I'm going to be the laser, I'm going to be laser people, and you start your business in September, you might crush it. You might do so well, and then come May, if you haven't prepared for X, Y, and Z, then June, July, and August are so crappy. If that's where what you rely on, your revenue relies on, and that's where you see people, they just can't. They can't see the other side of it.
And it's just know your market. And for med spas, it's, there are very specific down months and very specific heavy months, and it's year in and year out. And while it's a young market or a newer market, 20 years is enough time for us to see very calculated dips and stuff. And then there's ways to
just think about it,
to mitigate it. Well, yeah, but when you're new in the industry, you don't think, you may not think about all that stuff. And what can I buy instead of what can I buy making the most money right now? If I open in September, what might I buy if I'm a laser heavy company that will carry me through June, July, and August that I may not see as much in these, that I may not use as much in these other months. So, instead of just I want the most trendy or whatever machine, making decisions like that can save you in those,
100%.
In those
buying a laser in April is idiotic unless you have the funds, and it's a great deal to carry you through to September. I mean, it's just not a good move. Or a scar, or a microneedling machine, or whatever the case is. Now, there's things we said about laser hair removal and stuff like that. So you can certainly,
and hats and sunscreen and stuff.
Sure, you can. It's not that it goes away. It's just,
but it just will.
If your business is betting on it, a laser, and you buy it in May, that's probably not a good decision.
No, you need to maybe think of a different device.
So then August hits.
Well, we're still dabbling in all the financial stuff, right? We're still figuring out what we want to do. We're working with the SBA at this point. We were working with another investing group, if you will. people like to refer in the investing world to it as dating and use a lot of dating terms. So we were courting or dating some people and stuff, and all of that really good. Once we got the first kind of financial stuff done, you are able to kind of use that. And when you talk with other people, some of those deeper numbers, but you get off your phone.
Sorry, I just had a thought.
Well, maybe just say it out loud. So
Well, I was
weird
gonna
to get on your phone during a podcast.
It's not that weird because people are listening. It's much weirder when you call it out.
We are on a video podcast.
Yeah, but half the people are not watching that. Okay, if you're watching this, if you're physically watching us talk right now, then I would love for you to comment.
What do you call YouTube?
Well, yeah, but I mean, a lot of people listen to this podcast and don't stare at YouTube watching them.
Beautiful. I bet people stare at me.
And isn't this on like Apple?
That goes against the entire twin thing about like, no,
we're twinning right now hard. People are
okay.
listening.
So, anyways, of note, you can now find this on Spotify and Apple.
Don't look at me.
It's not just lip service. We didn't even say that, did we? We didn't even do an introduction. Welcome back to Not Just Lip Service.
Another episode where we talk about.
Okay, so but seriously though, and in case I forget to say it, it is on Spotify
We'll say it at the end.
Yeah, and Apple, so you don't have to watch the hot mess that this is. Okay, so we're still doing a lot of financial stuff because we did want to. It's just funny. Like I think we learned so from the beginning of the year, in January and in the beginning, we discussed taking on an investment or an investor. We considered equity, we consider all, and we were thinking quite bigger numbers too, to really just, I can't imagine growing faster than we are, quite honestly, but, with money, of course you can grow faster, most likely, but it's just so fortunate that it went the way that it went, because I don't even think we could handle, no matter how many people.
Well, Mary, you made the comment to me at one point that, then it'll be ultimately less work. And I was like, what?
Well, what?
The more we grow, like you have people to help do stuff. And I'm like, well, yeah, but then you just end up managing all those people and yeah.
Okay, well, I still kind of stand by that, but
doesn't work out that way.
Anyways, so yeah, we're still dabbling in that, but it changed over the year, which I think is very interesting.
Oh, yeah.
So it changed heavily. So when we were looking at that private equity firm, they were talking like, 12 to 20 million as an investment. And then we kind of got down to the $4 to $5 million range is what we thought we needed. And this is as we're growing on our own without getting any money. And then a month or two later, August, September, we're down to like, do we even want to take any money?
Mm-hmm.
We got with the SBA on that building and we followed through with the SBA. And then we did come down to like, we're not giving up anything. We're not giving up anything. We are not giving away any equity. There is we said the perfect thing fell in our lap, which would have to be, quite frankly, an over offer, what am I trying to say? Someone offered us $10 million for 10%, like I'd probably take it, something like crazy.
Yeah.
But otherwise, we were not willing to give up any equity, and we just wanted to turn our focus inward and grow within, and grow our people within, and really put the focus back inward, which we started doing. About maybe October?
Yeah.
It feels like forever ago, honestly, because it has been a long 3 months, but like in the best way. We had a year-end goal. It was a Q4 thing where at the year end we wanted to be done with this turning inward, which is what requires a lot of the conversation, or the rest of the conversation for today, of what we did to basically internally structure our company properly, because we were sending our amazing employees in 57 different directions because we were growing so quickly. So it's like
and there was no structure.
It's a fun, exciting thing, but even little things such as titles, and I know there's a whole group of people out there like we don't use titles, but even that helped do a chain of command and helped.
When you have a team, you do need
to know
there's
what
structure.
A title is. It is what it is, and it's earned, and it.
Well, we did end up taking. We ended up taking, to back up a little bit, taking money in the sense of through the SBA for working capital, and that's important because what that allowed us to do was to bring on all these people who were part-time or almost in where they needed to be, or we had abused from some family along the way who had supported us. Okay.
Well, and just say that what we landed on was taking money for that reason.
For literally human
looking inward
growth and growth capital.
Yeah, our only reason to take money was not to scale and grow in that sense. It was for human capital.
Which is risky, right? Because you take it on, you take that money on, and then you take all these people on, and then you spend 2 months basically just doing nothing to actually grow your revenue. You're literally just,
which is what we're
about to start talking about. Yeah, what we've been doing. But how important, now, again, we'll look up a year from now and we'll decide how important that was. But we know from our original workings in May and June of last year that some of the foundational things that we set at that time that were based in compliance and regulatory and just leadership structure is why we were able to bounce on that foundation for as long as we did and grow at the rate that we grew. So, we did $740,000 in 2022, and we're going to do about 4.2 this year. So that's crazy. That's a lot. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of growth and stuff.
But you have to have a foundation in every aspect, in leadership, clinical, financial, operations. Everything has to be foundationally set, or you're just waiting to implode, right? You can be growing, but it's like one of those bubbles you see where it's growing, but it's growing, turning in, and then eventually it's just all like, it's just too much. And we're not going to do that.
No, and
that's the plan.
It's been a long 3 months that, but it really hadn't been like that. I don't want to say it's not been that hard. It's not been that hard. It's just been put, like I said, the people chose, Microsoft 365 is what we use all, we're basically implementing in stages things in Microsoft through like Planner. We switched our emails into Outlook, everything about our company is going through Microsoft Teams. Yeah. And we have basically got all of our employees and our internal, our administrative team and our executive team lined up with that, which was our goal by the end of 2024. And then we will slowly continue to roll out all the functions of Microsoft 365.
The automations, the forms.
Yeah, the AI, the Viva stuff, just all that stuff. But the planner itself, the tasks, the to-do list, getting all that, the chats and everything, projects set up and stuff so that we can look forward to 2024, which we're doing the first week of January at our first little summit, where everybody's coming into town and we're building on that. But
SOPs was another big thing. We started that. When did we probably start SOPs? June?
Probably, yeah, it might have been earlier than that.
Maybe even July. It was
after the walks.
Was it? Whew. Boy, that's a long time.
Almost a year of, but our internal one's been done, and now it already needs to be updated a lot, but it's been done.
We kind of did it, so,
but we've done
but it's a couple hundred pages. But I'm a big SOP fan. Some people don't necessarily believe in that, and they think it takes up too much time for what it's worth and the evolution of an SOP, blah, 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 blah. That's fine. If you're strapped for time, is it worth it to maybe take the time to do all that? Not necessarily. However, with AI and the tools that are out there, you can screen record a process that you do, and literally it records it and screenshots it and makes it into what you can do. So, makes it into an SOP. So there's all kinds of ways to help you do that, and that is important as you grow. So that was one of the foundational things that we started doing quickly, and I love a good SOP. And
almost too much.
Yeah,
we have an SOP for everything. All of our major marketing, training, our huge internal one that has everything, and then we have separate ones for the injector.
But what that means, by example, for weight loss. So how we're going to scale, we've just launched our quote-unquote weight loss SOP. So we have several weight loss providers, but we are launching it at scale. And that's how you do it. I can hand you a playbook, and you can quite literally find just about anything you could possibly think of in that playbook
of our operations of it. So it's not,
Yeah, well, there's an internal
SOP,
and then there's the client facing, and then there's the APRN client who's performing it facing. There's versions of it, but and it does take a level of maintenance, but it's something Vanessa helps us with that. It's something the owner of it, who's over the program, does. And once it's done, it's just a living document.
Orientate people to that revenue producing, part of our business. We can't do that very well. You can't do that individually and spend that SOP. I'm not sure how long the weight loss is, but it's several pages, and it several as in like maybe dozen.
Yeah. Dozens.
And handing that to somebody and putting because it's also, our model does kind of, it is very much operating your own business, and pretty much all the different ways we do it. However, even if it was an employee, handing them how to do their job in an SOP is so much easier. Something they can look over that night and like, you know, read through or reference back. You show them how to do it once and then they have a reference back to it. And same thing for somebody starting in our weight loss program as a provider, having that and then you're not fielding hundreds of questions or days and days of orientation.
Or they start doing things differently. I think it's clinical safety and quality, but it's also
it's standardizing.
It's standardizing, and that standardizing is how you scale and how people are doing things the same, so that any one issue is either answered because it's built off of the program.
That I think your little thing might be rubbing the little there you
go. Is built off the stuff that we have experienced.
Yeah.
So when we had issues or any pain points whatsoever, we then correct them and then correct the SOP.
Yeah.
And so, and now that process really started in like February. So it has been, you know, a moment in time, of course, but if you think you've got a bang up way of how you do semaglutide or whatever the service is, and then get it on paper, because that is how you can then hand it to somebody else to replicate, and that's how you scale. Replication and scalability are, I mean, the ways you grow revenue. I mean, it is what it is. It's how you get bigger.
Yeah.
So doing those SOPs has been a big deal. I mean, the way we're scaling our training program, same situation. And it ensures that everybody is doing things. Of course, there's your own personal touch and personality. No one's ever going to be able to take that away. So people get worried about, robotics and SOPs. And it's like, that's not it at all.
Yeah. In fact, you know, we encourage the putting your touch on it. But to her point, it's you're signing for us when you come on with anybody, but with us in particular, that we gave that to you and that's what you're going to follow. So it's a liability thing and a standardization, a compliance and liability thing for us. But then it's so many facets, right? It's making it so much easier for that provider, that business owner to do their job and do it effectively, or do it as well as we feel like we've done, which we think is pretty well considering, you know, how well it's going. And then, so it makes it easier for them. It makes them feel safer, which is very important for us medical providers or anybody with a license that can be snatched away. And also patient safety and all those things. It flows into all of that. And then also protects us, because if we have handed you away that we know is safe and know is compliant, or we at least we sign that it is, and you sign that you've received that and you're utilizing it, then we're now pretty protected if that person, your employee, were to deviate away from it. So it's just a lot of facets, those SOPs, and oh my God, it's been, my eyes are blurry from the last few days.
Well, they're living, and it's tough.
They're living. So really quick, when she says that, she means they live in a drive of, like, we use OneDrive, obviously, from Microsoft, and they live in there so that if you edit it in there, everybody that has access to it can then see it.
Yeah, and you don't print copies.
You don't print it out.
You don't download copies. You live out of OneDrive.
It lives in a drive that you can control access very tightly.
Copies of anything is the death. That's death. Death. Don't have copies. That's specifically surrounding leadership stuff. I mean, if you're having a team of people with technology, it's just unnecessary to have, quite frankly. And people are like, I just want to hold it. I'm like, okay, well, cool. But every time you print 200 pages, you make one change, you got to print, in theory, a page. But yeah, so we did our SOPs. What are some other things? Foundationally, we laid out job descriptions, obviously, with job titles and structure and reporting structure. And so 2024, from that perspective, for me, from a leadership perspective, is going to be all about, okay, now this structure is in place. We have people asking questions to the right people, people learning their roles. We have new leaders. So that's what's, I have to say, we don't have a lot of people who are experienced in managing other people. So there's 17 or 18 of us total now in our company. And there's probably 5 people who've ever managed another human. So I say that,
or less. It's medical providers, I say that all the time. We're just not. Yeah, that's not what we. You know. And I always reference back to, because I feel some people stiffen a little bit about that, especially if they were like what was it called on the floor when you were the charge nurse? Yeah, and there is some management skill for there.
Sure.
But and I even say it's nothing. I manage an OR room in anesthesia or whatever. It's medical providers, I just knew almost nothing, because our pressure situations in the medical field are just so different, and it's just so not applicable. And I don't mean to put that with anybody down, because I would put my down the most, but it's just
it's comparing it to like an Army SEAL team or something in a mission. Like that's not the same type. That's not the leadership we're talking about. It's not a pressure situation. It's managing a human over years.
So, but that's important to really note, though. What we did, because we had like a couple of our VPs and then Carla to kind of foster some leadership skills, and me as well, we were able to though find some unicorns in the sense of the loyalty and the people that we found, and luck or not, whatever. And we were able to spend time shaping them and to help them become leaders, which is going to be an ongoing process. I would forever, but also like through the entire year.
You also chose them, and if you listen to the people around you. Yeah, if you don't have anybody around you and you have to interview people, cool. I'm not. I don't like it.
Well, that's what I was getting at. Is that you may not have. Yeah. You don't have the people like some of our VPs and Carla in your corner to help do that, and you're me. Let's say I'm a solo anesthesia writer who wants to do medical aesthetics. I don't know how to foster a leadership team. Then potentially then you find someone in leadership first who could start fostering that, was my point, versus me plucking.
Or you get some coaching or something.
Yeah, or that's all I'm saying. Is like versus we could have, instead of me plucking Adrian, for example, out of the thing and saying, let's go lead whatever.
I think that as long as you recognize the fact that you're not a leader just because you've done X, Y, and Z, that's probably the most important thing. Because then if you bring on your first person and you're just transparent with the fact that I am your boss. Okay, cool. That's you have to have who is the direct leader. But then after that, I'm working on this with you. Like we're working. We've always been very transparent about who has had experience in the past, who doesn't, and then that allows open communication amongst us. And then it also allows when someone does step on someone's toes because they kind of screw up a situation or they just don't handle it all that well. Then it's really open. Like it's okay. I mean, it's okay. I mean, we're all everyone's still learning. So give yourself a lot of grace when it comes to that. But you can build a team. You always consider the rest of the team as you add to the team. If someone isn't going to fit the mold and fit the culture, they're not the right fit. It just is what it is. Now, someone can overrule that. Like if you have somebody who's maybe not exactly the same as everybody else personality-wise, it doesn't mean you don't bring them in. It's more, are they moldable? Are they coachable? Are they malleable? There's a lot of things. And to Mary's point, all that stuff's like what? Then potentially seeking out someone's help in either an interview process or looking for some of those things.
Or like she said, educating yourself, which is what I've spent the last almost 2 years doing. Constantly.
Yeah, reading books and stuff like that. I mean,
oh my gosh,
there's leadership theory, and it's all real. I mean, it's a whole. I mean, my entire doctorate's in leadership. Like, it's a whole. There's a lot out there.
Yeah, for sure.
And it works, and it's all based on psychology because it works.
Yeah,
it works. Like people respond. So we did it. We've done a lot of that. We've set the structure in place. We have our teams. We have set up our company based on revenue streams, because that works for our team. And so that, you'll see a lot of traditional, like, oh, I have administration, HR, like clinical, like that's all fine if you're growing a company. But we base them on, because we're still small, this is one of the ways we're too small. We don't have an HR department. Like there's still a lot of crossover. There's going to be cross functionality. There's going to be cross training. There's just a lot of that happening. So we did it by revenue stream. So training, injectors, brick and mortars, and those teams then of course have a ton of cross functionality where they're helping different things, but they run their own team. So those pillars are set and then report up ultimately to leadership in that way.
Yeah, and I mean, I think for anyone listening out there that's a 1 or 2 person med spa or whatever, this whole admin day we push, having an admin day when it feels so aggressive that I need to be injecting every single day as much as I can, but having a weekly meeting with your other person, with yourself, if you're a solo person, in the areas that we're taught, like, okay, so what can you do in the clinical side of it, maybe to increase your revenue, or is there anything you could change? What could I do in the front office, front desk side of it, if you're the front desk
Make
person?
It more efficient.
What could I do on the marketing side to make it better? It's like, if you don't have a meeting with yourself and focus on those, on the even the traditional buckets, make them traditional, sure. That's where stuff like that is.
I do think that's why people fail.
Yeah, I do think it's where they fail too, because you just miss some stuff that are little daggers and that are what get you.
They let a client dictate, everything, and then the problem is when the client doesn't come then you're just screwed. So
yeah, and a lot of that is jumping into medical aesthetics and jumping into businesses in general.
It's jumping into business.
Yeah, and then just
is the
assuming
problem.
that money is gonna come in really quick and not doing the foundational things.
Yeah.
So that was really fast, kind of what this year looked like. If there's any questions about that, y'all just keep messaging us and asking and stuff.
We'll do the follow up to this next week and keep
and
going.
we'll kind of do what. So how did we apply all this, and looking forward to 2024, and then what our summit is kind of about. So we'll do a podcast maybe before or right after
Tuesday.
It could be Friday. Anyway, before sounds like or right after.
Right.
That's my injecting day is Tuesday.
Anyways,
of this summit, we can give it kind of what we did during that. When I say summit, that's just kind of what we're starting to call it. But it's just our 2024 planning time where we brought everybody, because we have some people who don't live in Nashville, and everybody's coming in and we're sitting together in person and having, 2 or 3 days in a row of where we focus on all the
setting goals
and setting our goals and
having everybody be heard and have everybody have a chance to present. And some of these things are bigger than, a smaller med spa. I think setting realistic goals is the point of that.
Yeah.
If you're a 1 person or a 2 person, some of the practical summary, tech stack, like how do you have technology helping you be more efficient? If you're just a 1 person starting out, are you posting every day? Well, how can I make that more efficient? I mean, look at whatever your processes are. And the first thing is, if you don't have 4 hours at least of an admin time, if not a whole day, you're messing up.
And then your revenue goals of just set attainable, timely goals of, for example, each month I want to see 10 new clients. Something attainable. Don't do it.
Because then you'll go chase after them. Like, it's amazing what it does.
Yeah.
You'll literally find yourself, I'm 1 away.
Yeah.
What can I do tomorrow to get a client?
Where can I go? Like,
can I go into a hair salon?
Yeah.
Can I make a deal with make a new partnership? Do a new partnership or a new deal once a quarter.
Yeah.
Like, how can I partner with somebody? You can trade services. Like, you can trade equal value services. So I need photography. Cool.
I think
there's just a lot of ways you can do.
Yeah.
No, I think you can equal value trade services at.
It depends on if you're practicing medicine or not, I think.
Yeah, nurses aren't practicing medicine.
Right. So it depends on if you're practicing medicine or not. So a nurse practitioner listening, or somebody might, if they're in a full practice state. Anyways,
be careful with trading services. The point is, what can you do to further your business and set realistic goals?
Yeah.
And that's important to do. And it doesn't have to be on a year basis. It can be on
quarterly
3
basis.
months, even a month.
Basis.
I will recommend months can be difficult because life happens, especially if you're still doing another job, and that can and you miss your first one. It's like going on a weight loss journey on January 2nd. You eat a ho-ho on the 3rd, and you're like, well, F this noise. That it's hard because if it's such a short period of time, if you mess up, you just feel like, it's already 2 weeks into January and I haven't come close to touching my goal. It's like, give yourself a little bit of grace if you're growing.
Yeah. So takeaway, have a meeting with yourself. If you're 1 person, have a meeting with your 2 people, your 3 people, your 4 people. If it's not weekly on your admin time, then it should be the smaller meetings should be weekly, and the bigger picture meetings maybe quarterly. Even if you're 1 person, have quarterly meeting with myself.
Do not disturb your phone.
Yeah.
Get yourself in your headspace and focus.
We're totally off track.
I know. But what's practical application?
Well, it's stuff that we're doing that
we're talking about moving forward. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, and since we have to go get our kids and stuff, hashtag mom life.
Golly, I hope this isn't on YouTube.
Oh, it doesn't. Okay. Couple things. So we love to do the shout out to our Patreon. We have several people working on the Patreon, and it's a really good resource. We have a subscription level. We put some stuff on the free side. I'll be honest, most of the stuff goes on the subscription side because it takes a lot of time and effort, but it's good business, compliance, legal, injection videos, just webinars, all sorts of stuff. We go live with the 3 of us every so often, where you can just ask any question at all. We can try to give you the answer or go find it for you and get back to you. So it's just Smiley Aesthetics on Patreon. Like, we're excited to say now that this episode, along I think with last week and moving forward, are on Spotify and Apple. It is Not Just Lip Service is the title, Not Just Lip Service, and we're the only ones named that on there, so it's pretty easy to find, I think, but we can link those also as well.
Have we shared that information?
Not yet, because we're waiting on something, I think, to really push it out, but okay. they'll all be linked in the description this week or next as a reminder, and we'll always mention it on here.
Yeah.
And then
comment on this video.
Yeah. If you, as we always say, if you like the video, if you even for a second thought it was interesting, please share it or subscribe to it or like it. Leave a comment. We're just we're at the core, our mission is just helping other medical providers. I do want to take a second to say, call myself out really, because I've been on a journey for 5 years now, and today is my 5-year date in recovery. And I want to point it out because I hope medical providers, I got so many messages today when I posted it on social media, and it took me like 4 years to do that. I think last year was maybe my first year of doing that, maybe a year and a half ago. And the messages and stuff that come in, and the people telling me that they're also in recovery, or they've really been hiding or whatever, which I'm not suggesting anyone go out and announce that they're in recovery, but especially medical providers. But as a resource, I've been through it, I'm hiding it from everybody and I need some rando to talk to. I put it out there on that, and I want to put it out here that I can be that person. My email is mary@smileyesthetics.com. It's very easy to find one of my cell phone numbers on there, or DM me. I'm at Injector Smiley on Instagram. We're on Facebook as Mary Smiley Ford. I mean, at this point, you can find us smileyesthetics.com. And so I just want to put it out there that as a resource to anyone listening to this that knows somebody or themselves just doesn't have anyone, or has someone, or just wants to know what I've done and what I continue to do to be successful in the medicine and dealing with recovery. And that's all for that. Okay, so I think I've said everything I need to say. We'll do a looking forward and hopefully give a little more structured on what we're doing for our summit, for our company, and break it down to how it can apply to you next week. And maybe we'll get to interview somebody. We have a lot of people in town.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, we might take the time. Actually, we may totally shift and interview somebody, or at the very least, we'll do it. Yeah. And we'll get that planned out. So, thank you so much for listening, and please message us your questions. I don't have the questions in front of me today, so sorry, but we appreciate your support on here and on Patreon. And we have all the questions, and we'll always continue to do podcasts about them. So thanks so much.
Bye.